Okay, good morning, everybody, and good evening if you are in other parts of the world. Good middle of the night if you happen to be awake in like Europe or somewhere. Today,
Europe, yeah.
we are talking about The Stands, Sovietistan by Erika Fatland. I have seen other covers actually from other people, but we've got the same one. So, welcome, Justin.
Thank you.
You are my usual book club host, but you are extra special and
Yes,
extra useful this time because you
I,
have been in this region and I have not. So you are
I was going
very
to say,
vital
unlike
to
the
this
one to
talk.
Japan where I've never been to last time, I've actually been to some of these places.
Yes, exactly. Yes, we've swapped roles this time. So
Spot rolls,
absolutely.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. So we were just actually having this chat, but we better repeat it. What was
Yeah.
your overall impression of Sovietistan?
Look, I really like the book, but I think people probably need to. It's less. It's quite a informative and I won't say serious. I guess it's not like one of those travel writers with full of funny tales and everything like that, because there's very few funny stories in it, but there's a lot of well researched stuff about the people, the leaders, especially the politics, and then there's a lot of meeting people, local people, and seeing their stories, and a lot of them are not necessarily great, but it's also very informative, and how the people really live in that part of the world. And yeah, I really liked it, but yeah, I think if you just got to go in realizing that it's you're going to get a lot of information as well that she's researched, which is great.
Yeah, yeah. There were parts
It's
that
not
were a
just
little bit
her
dense.
tales
Yeah,
on the road. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. It's not just her tales of from traveling. There's a lot of background information and a lot of other stuff that she's researched, and that's great because she's clearly very knowledgeable of the whole region, um, before she wrote the book. So yeah,
Yeah,
and I
absolutely.
agree with most of what she said. I can't think of anything there where I go, I didn't get that impression when I was there, or and there's a few things there I thought, I did hear something about that, and she's put more detail into the book. So I think for anyone wondering what these places are like, they might want to go there. This is not a bad book to read. I think it would probably be the one I would recommend people to read.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So yeah, certainly from
yeah,
what you've told me
Colin,
before and other
another,
people, it seems
yeah,
pretty accurate. An accurate
yeah.
traveller's impression of the stands.
Colin, I think it was Colin Thubron. I'm not sure if I've pronounced it right. He's written a lot about there. That's what I read before I read some of his books on Central Asia.
Hmm.
Um, but I think this one's got a lot more detail in it. And it was actually written about the time I was there. I think she was there maybe a couple of years. I was 2012, and I think she was 2014, maybe.
Yep.
I think
Yep.
that's where yeah,
Yes, it was 2014. I checked at some stage,
yeah,
and yeah, so yeah, so it would have been really similar to your
yeah.
experiences, I guess.
And I
So
think things
yeah,
have changed quite rapidly based on what I've heard from the outside of there now and what's changed since I went there. So yeah,
yeah, and even some of her footnotes throughout as well.
yes,
So
yes,
yeah, noting
yeah,
changes in leadership
yeah,
occasionally. Not that leaders seem
yes,
to change
yes.
very often in Central Asia,
Yeah.
but yeah, a few things like that. So
And even
yeah,
even things like getting visas for these countries, other than I think Turkmenistan, I think the other four are not that hard anymore. Like, they've all got
interesting.
either visas on arrival or visas at the airport, or e visas. So, and certainly I know Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan definitely, and I think
Hmm.
Kazakhstan as well. I'm not sure about Tajikistan, but Turkmenistan's still very weird place to get into, and yeah,
Turkmenistan seems to be a very weird place in all aspects, not
it's
just visa
yeah,
requirements. So,
that's right,
yeah,
that's right.
yes, yeah, it's interesting. Hey, yeah, we were just chatting. So, obviously she's a journalist and has a lot of knowledge of the area. And I was showing Justin, I got this book at the library recently, which is her other book called The Border, which is basically a tale of traveling around the border of Russia, which is obviously large and covers a lot of different countries. So through North Korea, China, Mongolia, Kazakhstan, blah blah blah. And yes, quite a hefty tome, but I think interesting. I haven't read it, and it might be a summer read. I'm not sure yet. I've got so many books
Yeah,
and so little time,
yeah,
so we will see. But what we thought we'd do today is chat a little bit, kind of country by country, because we've both picked out a few of our kind of favourite parts from each of the stands that she travelled to. Some of the most intriguing bits, I suppose, or
Yeah.
the most curious parts. And as usual, a lot of our most interesting bits overlap. But also, I want to hear, your reflections as well, Justin, from your own experiences. So,
Yes.
if you're watching, also by the way, and you have anything to add or questions or thoughts, just throw them in the comments. I'm monitoring the comments here as well, so let us know. So, Turkmenistan is where it all began, and as we've already said, Turkmenistan is a particularly interesting place. When I did a poll in the group, I think there was only two group members who had been there. Justin and you were one of them, so it was one of the least visited
Yeah.
stands amongst our group, which makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I found this particularly interesting. So in the past, kind of what I knew about it was the the leader who changes the days of the week and the months of the year to reflect his name and his family names and things like that, and all of those really can you believe this happened? Kind of almost clickbaity headlines. That was kind of my impression of Turkmenistan.
Yeah.
I have to say the chapter kind of just confirmed that, but yeah.
And of course that guy passed away. He was one of the few leaders to actually have been changed, mostly because he died, and that
Yeah.
was mid 2000s. So even by the time I got there, his reputation and was still intact. And I did mention before we came online that how in many ways it's got a lot of similarities with North Korea, and how it's probably a more accessible place to visit if you want to go to a country that's had some of this style of leadership to see what it's like. I'm not saying everyone should go, because everyone makes their own decisions on these things, but yeah. And the latest leader I don't think is quite out there. I don't think but certainly I think his portraits are up quite a lot of places, along with the previous leaders and the leader. So there's only been two, and
Yeah.
I don't think he's changed his name or changed the name of towns or the calendar to after his mother and himself, and um,
No,
and
not
and
as
some of it was,
extreme.
yeah. And I don't think he's built as many golden statues of himself or anything like that. But
It seems like there's no more
I
room for
don't
more marble buildings by the sounds of it. So
no, no, and it's everything described in the book is just spot on. It's just such an interesting place to go, because you see like these big, the infrastructure that's built in the capital city is amazing, but there's hardly anyone there. I think like the population is only a few 100,000 people, and this vast marble city full of marble buildings and statues and things like that. And yeah, and I think like I wrote down like I arrived in the middle of the night, and I was on a plane from China, and I got to the border, and I had a visa, and it was the first time I really traveled somewhere where you're sort of thinking, is this
hope I
safe?
get
Is
in.
this the right thing to do? Yeah.
Yeah.
And got through smoothly and had a pickup all arranged, because again, I didn't want to deal with taxis or anything like that. So they took me into the hotel, and there was no one around. It was late at night, and I just thought that was normal. Yet I woke up the next day, there's still no
There
one
was still no
around.
one around. It was not a function of being
And
midnight. Yeah.
yeah, no,
Oh gosh. Yeah. Oh, it sounds like a very fascinating place to visit. My favorite part in the chapter was the special horse days, the horse
oh
celebration,
yes,
and when they're waiting and waiting for anything to happen, and the president comes out and falls off the horse, but that moment was deleted from everybody's memory and memory cards.
yeah.
Yeah, a lot of
It's interesting though, because when I was there, I'd never got the impression that horses were as important to say Turkmenistan as they were when I was in Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan. So,
oh, interesting.
but yeah, but I could have I wasn't there for a long time, so I certainly spent more time in the other three countries I visited in the region.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, and they had a lot of camels and stuff as well. Like the markets had camels for sale, and so I didn't see the horses and everything like that. So that was the only thing I didn't really see a lot of. But
Mm.
yeah, it's not that I, yeah, it's definitely probably the case. And
Yes, and
probably
perhaps
no
she saw a lot of it because she was there at that particular time with
the
this
time. Yeah.
very important horse celebration kind of stuff. So yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, it sounded also excruciating to sit and watch nothing for hours. And but one of
Yeah.
those, yeah, one of those memorable experiences, I guess. So you also, Justin, in your notes to me, talked about the internet. Um,
Yeah. I wasn't really sure. This is also one of the first times I've been. I guess I've been to Africa, so Africa was also where you kind of you don't know what internet you're going to get, but um, yeah, you kind of like I said to people, look, I may be not online, and yeah, in 2012 everyone sort of had the internet and was relying on it quite a lot, and I just said, look, I may not be around for have access to the internet for a week or so, so I
don't
said, don't
worry if you don't
worry,
hear from me. Yeah,
I
yeah.
will I will try and contact you. Let everyone know I'm fine. And I didn't think, and there's probably no risk. Like all these countries are really safe for travelers.
Mm, mm.
Like as long as you don't do anything silly.
Yes.
And I think even if you took photos of the government buildings, they would just tell you to delete them in Turkmenistan. That was
Yeah,
what
they're not
I
going to
was
arrest
told.
you.
And
Yeah.
no, no, they'll just make sure you've deleted everything. Um, but yeah, I turned up and the hotel apologized. The internet was turned off in the country for days. And my guide that I had, he said the same thing. He says, I don't know. They don't tell us. They just turn it off. And
I
yeah,
mean, it's amazing. It's not even just that they're saying, that it's broken or that there's some issues. It's just,
no.
it's turned off. Like, that's it. No
Now,
internet.
from an outsider's and from an outsider's point of view, you probably think someone's done something they shouldn't have done, so they've turned
We're
it
just,
off
yeah,
to
so
make
that no one can
it's damage
discuss
control kind
anything.
of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
But the
crazy. Hey.
locals wouldn't say anything like that. Certainly, the guide there was very reserved. He
Mm,
didn't want to. He wasn't. He would not say anything that you couldn't lead him into a conversation about these things. He
yeah,
just wasn't. He wasn't really that engaging either. He was only interested in doing his job, and
right.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's tricky, isn't it?
But
Probably tricky to
yeah,
find a guide who is, I guess, the kind of guide we would really want, because what we really want is to find out all the true stories. But obviously, it's pretty
yeah.
risky for them to discuss it. So yeah.
So they, yeah, and I mean, and I think as I said before, coming online, not that I've been to North Korea, Turkmenistan as a tourist, you have a lot more freedoms. Like they're not following you around the whole time. You can wander through Ashgabat without a guide and go have a look around and see what you want to see. And even through the country, you can do it if you want to. Um, but
Yeah.
at the same time, you don't want to do anything that is going to draw attention to yourself. I wouldn't be flying a drone or doing massive video productions or being a journalist, for example. And, yeah,
Yes, 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 exactly. Then you can, yeah, probably get possibly too much attention. So, yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
Turkmenistan, tick. Interesting place. So, yeah.
yeah.
I
And I think it's still hard to get into. I think you do need some kind of letter of invitation or a company to get you in. So yeah, so don't
mm.
feel like you got to rush out and see it, but
Yeah. I don't
it
think
is a
it's going to change
fascinating
very
place.
quickly either. So, I think
No,
it'll
no, I
be
feel,
a fascinating place for many years to come, I imagine.
and
So,
I think she's captured it in a book. I think if you read the book and it really does interest you, then sure, go and check it
mm.
out. But
Yeah, yeah. No, that makes sense. Okay, next in line is Kazakhstan. Now, Kazakhstan is the only. I haven't been to any of these stands, but
no,
I did have a little bit of a sense of what it's like. I feel I've been able to talk at length about Kazakhstan with a local once she'd moved here, but still, I learnt so much by reading this. But before we dive into Kazakhstan, I actually just want to read this quote that was in the Kazakhstan
yeah,
chapter, which is a perfect Thoughtful Traveller's quote, and I just loved it. So, Erika wrote, "Why do we travel? Why do we put ourselves through all the discomfort that moving across great distances and staying in faraway foreign lands usually entails? My theory is that nature has equipped us with deceitful, flawed memories. That is why we forever set off on new adventures. Once we are home again, the discomfort transforms itself into amusing anecdotes or is forgotten." And I thought that's
Yeah,
very apt. I think we thoughtful travelers who, especially, travel independently, have all sorts of crazy stuff happen. Sometimes things go wrong. Sometimes we're a bit miserable. But once we're home, we just can't wait to do it again. It's a bit like giving birth to children. You forget about all the
yeah,
worst part. And that's why people ever have siblings. So, yeah.
yeah. And that, I think that there was a mention of the Soviet nostalgia in Kazakhstan, and I think Kazakhstan is the most Soviet still, or Russian of all those stands. It's
Mm,
the one where you feel like nothing much has changed. Maybe there's out in the countryside things have changed a fair bit, but they still had their economy was reasonably good. There were working ATMs. I think, as I mentioned, there was
yeah.
international brand clothing stores, things like that you just didn't see in the other four countries.
Yeah.
And that's where this whole, she mentioned the Soviet nostalgia came up as well in the book. And I think if you did come across any of these people, especially of Russian descent, they had these memories of how good life was in the USSR. Whereas I guess in other parts of the world, they may not have that. I don't
Well,
know. But
actually, when I lived
it
in
seems less
Slovakia,
so in some of them.
yeah,
Mm,
yeah. Even when I lived in Slovakia, I would find people, even my age, who did have that an element of that Soviet nostalgia because
yeah.
their economies were just never as well, not never as
I,
good, obviously, but they
no.
still there was a lot of issues that still weren't present in Soviet times. So I think that Soviet nostalgia, at least elements of it, is really widespread. So yeah, I
Yeah,
was not
I
surprised
don't
to
think
read
I
it.
found as much. Yeah, I don't think I found as much in the Baltic states, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, because the
I was
standard of
thinking that,
living there
especially
has actually
Estonia, probably.
improved.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it has actually improved in those countries, whereas Georgia and Armenia and Azerbaijan, I think, is a bit of a mixed bag. I think it's based on age and stuff, but there as well. But
Mm-hmm.
in these states where the standard of living probably hasn't improved, and may have gone downhill for many.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think there's
exactly.
a lot of that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's true. Now what did I want to quiz you about your Kazakhstan notes here? Oh, border official and gifts. Actually, that was quite a nice story.
Oh yeah, so it's quite funny because in her, I think she was talking about bribes in her chapter about needing bribes and stuff. But yeah, a border official just asked me if I had a coin from where I came from, and I'm like, oh, okay, this doesn't sound great. And I digged in my bag, and I did have some coins, probably from the last Australian airport I flew through, and I paid cash for something. And one was a 20-cent coin with which has the platypus on it, and I think the platypus is probably a fairly, I think it's well known, not as well known as a kangaroo, but anyway, I gave him the coin, I showed him, and he didn't recognize it. So I wrote down what I thought was the closest approximation in Cyrillic, because they wouldn't
Oh,
have had a different.
yes, you Cyrillicified
Yeah, well,
platypus. Well done.
they wouldn't have had. Yeah, they wouldn't have had a word for it. They would have just
Yeah,
written it in Cyrillic, and those letters are fairly easy to know in. I don't think there's any weird Cyrillic letters there. You literally just translate the sounds as they go.
yeah.
And he was happy, and he gave me a coin, which I feel really bad about because I can't even remember what coin he gave me. It's just in my bag of foreign money from that country. So, but that
Oops.
was all the transaction was, and you're kind
Yeah.
of like thinking, oh, this could be dodgy, but no.
Yes, isn't it? Because I'm giving money to an official, but if it's 20
Yeah,
cents with the platypus on,
yeah,
you're probably okay. But yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I can imagine when he asked, you're a
And I
bit, oh,
think
on guard.
because I had a guide, because I was on a small tour with all of these, just to make it easy to get in and out of these
Yeah.
countries at the time, and we had guides helping us across borders and stuff like that. He The guide was kind of keeping an eye on things, but he said, no, that's okay. He probably just collects stuff like that. And
Exactly. Yes, and wouldn't meet too many Australians, and it's
no,
interesting to ask. Yeah,
that's right.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yes, yes. I think that's reasonable. So now
yeah,
in Kazakhstan we also hear more about horses. My
yes,
my note was about the girls being chased on horseback and the winning girl wins a vacuum
Oh
cleaner.
yes, yes.
But
Lucky girls.
yeah, I know. I'm
I
like,
did see that, and
woohoo!
I didn't hear. I think I did hear some stories about that, but I didn't. We didn't see any of the chasing the girls around on horseback.
Good.
Um,
No
but
vacuum cleaners.
no, well, I mean, it doesn't sound great to us, but probably
It's
owning a
probably
vacuum
very
cleaner in that
valuable. Yes,
very valuable and probably
you're
makes their
right.
days very easy rather
You're
than a
you're
broom. I
absolutely
don't
right.
know.
I should not scoff at the vacuum cleaner. You're quite right. Now you made a note about the Kazakh polo.
Yeah, so I didn't see it in Kazakhstan, but I know it's very popular. I think in Afghanistan, it's also a very popular national sport. And I actually saw two games in Kyrgyzstan of this, and one was kind of put on for us to watch because the
Right.
guide said, "I think we can arrange a game here to watch if you want." And we had to buy the ball, which was a goat carcass or a goat. I think we actually bought a live goat.
Oh, Justin,
I
I'm going to
I've
pretend
got
I
some
didn't
pretty
hear
bad.
that bit.
Oh, I think I've got some pretty bad memories of this. I'm not going to share them, but it's a way of life there,
Yeah.
and the game, like the winning team wins the goat, and the game kind of tenderizes the meat.
I
That's
was
how
just
it's
going to
been
say,
was described.
yes. Yeah, you
So
mentioned that in your notes, the tenderized goat carcass. Yeah.
yeah, so but look, all of that aside, and I completely
Yes.
get people who have issues with things like animal cruelty and everything like that. Although it is the animal is dead at the time. It's not like they're doing this to a live
Mm-hmm.
animal, and
Yeah.
I believe, from what I was told, they make
Yes.
sure it doesn't
Has a
suffer.
humane. Yeah.
Um,
Okay, good.
yeah. However, I guess the skills of these horsemen are, and it's a bit like these horses. I'm more worried about the horses, to be honest, because the horses are all in this
Mm.
scrum and they're trying to get the goat off some guy's horse, and then often the goat is on the ground, and these guys can gallop along and kind of go sideways on their horse and reach down, pick it up, and then
Oh
get
my
back up onto
gosh.
the saddle.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's amazing.
yeah, yeah. That so that
The
level of
skill
skill,
level is interesting.
the
Mm.
skill level in the and like I know, like I said, it's very common, I think, in all of Central Asia, but I saw it more in Kyrgyzstan, which I'll talk about when we get there. And
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's a very interesting game. They can range, I believe, they can range from like a timed game to going all day and all night or some ridiculous thing until someone scores. So
Yeah,
yeah,
gosh.
it's
Wow.
they've got various things. I think they literally do now have a um, some of these countries now have like a semi-professional league. It used to just be played by the nomads and
Oh,
stuff, but
wow.
now
Yeah, right.
they've kind of got formal competitions going, and they actually have uniforms and stuff going. And
Ah, okay. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Oh, gosh. Wow. Ah, interesting. Okay. I think we need to move on to Tajikistan. Now, my first
yes,
comment about Tajikistan, or about the chapter, is um my intrigue about the Trident support company who found a niche in making taller and taller flagpoles for Central Asian
oh yes,
countries. So
yes,
there's a company who had
that's
specialized. There was like only one company where you can get a crazy, crazy, crazy tall flagpole. Where did they
oh,
get? Did they get to like 100? Am I right in thinking it's 190 odd meters? I mean, it sounds crazy now that I
oh,
say it,
I
but
think
was it
it was
90?
something. It was 140. I think the tallest one now, maybe, but it wasn't in Central Asia anymore. I think one of the Arab countries decided to get in on the game and have the tallest flagpole because they like those kind of games, tallest buildings, tallest flagpoles,
Yeah,
and stuff like that. So
it's
so
quite crazy, isn't it?
they
Oh yeah, no,
they
no,
made
I was off with my
yeah
190. The tallest one is currently 171, but the ones um
yeah
in Tajikistan was no, I can't find it. But anyway, 133, 162. Oh no, that was in Azerbaijan. Oh, anyway, these
yeah
guys were just like competing, taller and taller and taller flagpole.
taller flagpoles,
Yeah,
which would require a big flag for it to be even look right as well. So the
Yes.
flags were probably massive,
Yes. I wonder if there was another
like
company that was like cornered the market in massive flags.
like
I don't know.
I'm thinking like the flag may have been half the size of a football field kind of thing.
Yeah, because if it's like
Because
so far up,
yeah, yeah,
you've got
yeah.
to be able to see it even proper,
Or at
like to
least
make.
20 meters sort of high. Because if you've got a
Yeah.
140-meter flagpole, you're going to need it to be 10 or 20 meters. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
otherwise it'd be this tiny little thing on the end of a
think,
massive, yeah, pole. Yeah, yeah.
and
So
people, and
anyway,
they'd be laughed at, and that's not what
yeah, yeah,
dictators
yeah,
would
yeah,
do. So,
exactly. Yes, you can't ridicule a tall flagpole. I mean, I am ridiculing a tall flagpole, but anyway. So,
yes,
so anyway, that's the kind of quirky stuff I love to read about, and so I particularly liked
yeah,
that part in Tajikistan, and
and
we
that,
both noted
yeah,
the other thing was the divorce by mobile telephone.
yeah. I had heard about this too. Now,
Had you?
Tajikistan's one of the five I haven't been to, but think I think someone brought it up with one of the guides.
Right.
Um, and I can't remember which country it was, but wasn't completely uncommon throughout the region because Islam was, I think, reasonably common across the region, and the Russians kind of basically suppressed it. And there's still a lot of, I think the worry is they see the radical kind of states issues that they've had in other countries, and they're still trying to keep that on top. But so I think the Tajikistan one where they banned the whole divorce by texting the word three times was banned. But I did hear that people were doing it over the phone and stuff like that, and yeah,
I mean,
and
I must
they were
confess that
trying to
as a divorced person in Australia, the
yeah
paperwork to be divorced is massive, time consuming, and really annoying. And if we could have just done it by
yeah
text with 3 words, I've got to say, maybe not so bad. But
yes.
obviously, that's when it's
Well, the
amicable,
other
or
side the other side to this is that you get this overwhelming feeling that these people, if they can get into Russia somehow, and often this is a job, and then they marry a Russian wife,
yeah,
and I think some of it was like sometimes they keep sending some money back to their old wife, but after a while that would sort of stop because they more likely have children with their Russian wife
yes,
and
yes,
move on. And
yeah, yeah,
yeah, so but there's certainly that feeling that um, a goal in life is if you can get into say Russia um, somehow, whether it's a job or education or something like that, then that's a good stepping stone to a better life. And
yeah. I can't remember the stats, and I didn't note them. But was it Tajikistan that had the most or migrant workers?
yeah, I
And it
think
was like
so.
some huge proportion of their GDP
Yeah,
was money coming back from Russia. I can't remember,
mm,
like a quarter or
yeah,
more, or I can't remember, but it was a huge amount. So yeah, there was obviously
yeah,
it's obviously yeah, quite, like you say, yeah, getting into
yeah.
Russia is quite the kind of life goal to improve things. Yeah.
And from what I've heard, the people who've been to, I know a couple of people who did go to Tajikistan after the trip I did, and most of them just kind of did. They just went to the Pamir region of, because that's where
Mm.
it's the most scenic. But yeah,
Yeah.
the response was if you thought Kyrgyzstan was rough and undeveloped, then Tajikistan is another level of
Yeah. Yeah. That's
of
sounds
rough
right.
rough travel. But
Yeah.
they said it's definitely was one of the most scenic places they've been to in the world, and
Yes,
yeah,
that's one of the rabbit
and you
holes I
get
went
the
down
authentic,
while I was reading. I googled and looked
yeah,
at lots of pictures because I
and
wanted to see
and
how
and
beautiful it was.
and with all of these countries, you do get that authentic experience. You don't have to worry about it being overly fake, or there's a tourist what the tourists see and what, because they don't. It's very hard to keep that separate. Like, sure, you can do a little bit of tour and have a nice-ish hotel in some of these places, but yeah, you can interact with the locals and get out into the countryside, and yeah, you get that experience. So
There's no over tourism,
no, definitely not.
quite
Maybe
the opposite.
Uzbekistan. It's probably the one that I think is the most touristy. Uzbekistan.
Right. Interesting. Um, yeah, we'll get to that, but not yet.
Mm, not
Did
yet.
you have anything? Did you have anything else in? Oh, Tajikistan. You just mentioned the time when they blocked YouTube for a few days.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is and
Can
yeah,
you imagine?
and also yeah. Oh,
We're so lucky. Well,
it's
actually, I don't know. Sometimes I think I wish they would just
no,
stop all
well,
of the. I wouldn't mind a forced
yeah,
internet-free few days because there's always it's in time intrusive. But yes, I would like to choose not have it forced on me.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
so.
All right,
You just need a
Kyrgyzstan.
trip somewhere.
Yes, yeah,
Yes,
exactly. Kyrgyzstan was our the fourth country
once
as
she
she
visited,
travelled
yes.
around.
and
So
and and she did mention the relative freedoms and the ability to speak freely, and I think that was very evident just based on the guide I had in Kyrgyzstan. He didn't have any issues. He even talked about some of the bad stuff that we may come
mm,
across. um, but I think, like she mentioned, they've got a parliament and a democracy. um, some of the good stuff I came across was we were using community based tourism. So homestays were very common.
nice.
Um, so, and they were reasonably, look, they were reasonably comfortable. We were told to just be um, conscious of the fact that, if you're going to use the showers, just don't have a long hot shower.
Hmm.
Because we had been doing a few days camping here and there on this trip.
Yeah.
But the homestays, they were all very friendly. God, God, I feel like they just tried to make us put on weight because the amount of food that would come out. But you were sitting on a rug on the floor when you were eating. The mattresses were just kind of on the floor in the room. So it was usually just a place that had enough rooms. And
Hmm.
um, but but yeah, I've got some really fond memories. And then you go up into these lovely valleys and stuff like that,
Mm.
where there were sometimes some huts to stay in, or you just had to camp. And but yeah, they seem to have a good mix going. Things seem to be a little bit more open and a little bit better there.
Mm.
There's no doubt that the people in the regions were still not that well off or anything like that, but they were at least thinking, hey, community-based tourism is is a way to help get more money
Yeah.
into those regions.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because they had these resorts that sit on. There's a big lake in the island in the middle of the country if you look on a map, and that lake has these Russian resorts on it, and all the Russians go there, or used to go there. I don't know if they still do, and that was their idea of a holiday. They'd go there, but that wasn't giving any money to sort of the outside those areas. So the
Mm,
whole
mm.
community-based tourism idea sprung up, and of course the guys with the Eagles. I don't know how many of them are around, but
It sounded like there was a lot. It's obviously,
yeah,
yes, the
yeah.
standard thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Sally is just. Oh, hang on. Now I've lost the. Just disappeared. Um, Sally had just said yes. So she'd been there. So much food in Kyrgyzstan, but the table was beautifully set out, and we never ate it all. So yeah, that's
Yeah, no,
sounds
because
like it's.
you get little snacks to start with, like a crunch, like maybe some biscuits and dates or dried fruits and stuff, or even just a little jar, like a bowl of boiled lolly type sweets or something like that, and then out would come like your breads and your dips. And borscht soup was common. Or there was quite a few soups. There was one called, and I don't know if it was in all countries, but there was one like a noodle soup, I think called lagerman or something like that I really really enjoyed. But you'd always get a soup, and then there'd be more stuff. And yeah,
And
it's
more,
just
and more, and more. Yeah,
yeah, and more.
yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, it was, the hospitality was just amazing.
Oh, that's so lovely. Yeah. Um.
It's the one, and Kyrgyzstan's the one country I say to anyone if they're ever thinking of going to a stand and they're worried about stuff. I always say Kyrgyzstan, and I say if you really don't want to do it yourself, just find a local company that will do a tour or a guide or something like that, and yeah, you'll really enjoy it. Because even Bishkek, the city, was quite nice. It's the
Mm.
one that was the least sort of um, dictatorified, if that's even a word, like where
Yes.
they haven't built huge edifices and buildings in their honor or anything like that. So it was very Soviet feeling, but it wasn't even that. I think it wasn't, yeah, it was quite a nice little compact city.
Hmm.
Um,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
also
cool.
the place to go if you want to go horse riding. I did horse riding around lakes with yurts, and you can do yurt stays. So yeah, there's a whole, I really thoroughly enjoyed that that place. I don't think she probably did as much in Kyrgyzstan as I did, whereas she did more in other countries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was quite.
Yeah.
That was one thing. I wasn't disappointed, but it was like, oh, such a short chapter on such a
Yeah,
great
you would have
country.
liked to. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That
But
makes
there
sense.
was less controversy in the country, I guess, as well. So yeah,
Yes, that's true. Sort of. Yes, less to chat about. I noted that it was the, and I think we discussed this earlier. The first president who wasn't
yeah,
an engineer, though he was
yes.
still a bit corrupt.
And
But
and
you know,
in case people didn't realize I'm an engineer, so I'm worried I have a
a
may want to become a
tendency to be a
dictator of
Central Asian dictator.
yeah,
It seems the career path, Justin. So.
yeah, yeah.
But no, you made it back home to Australia, so I think you're safe.
Yes, yes.
But yes, it was very interesting to note all of those. Although actually, I meant to dive down a rabbit hole and do some research, but I didn't. But when I was teaching in Slovakia, again, I had so many students who had trained as engineers in Soviet times. And then, by the
Yeah.
time I got there, they were doing all kinds of other jobs, but perhaps it was a very, very common Soviet era
I think it
training and
was, and I
occupation.
think I mentioned, yeah, I think I mentioned it when I emailed you. I said that I got the impression that the Soviets were all about building infrastructure and stuff like that. So engineers were
Yes.
in demand, and it was seen as a very good career, very good profession. So if you could become an engineer, your family, you'd be well off and stuff like that. So I
Yeah.
think that at
So,
the time these guys went to school, that's what
yes.
people did. If
Yes,
you
I
wanted to
think you're
be
right. Yeah.
so,
Anyone who did well
yeah,
with school probably, yeah, a lot of them would have gone down that
went
path, I
and
think.
became an
So,
engineer. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And then the Cold War finished and they didn't need all the engineers. The ones I met were mostly in marketing.
yeah,
And marketing didn't
yeah.
exist when they were going to school because you don't need marketing in communism. So they had all suddenly
That's
been forced into these marketing roles and really didn't know what to do, but they were making the most of it.
I
So, yeah.
I have pity for those poor engineers.
Yeah, yeah, I know. It's quite a different skill set, isn't it? So,
Yes, it
yeah.
is.
And it was always fascinating. It's probably a bit different now, but this was not that long after, the Cold War had finished. And so they were just
Yeah,
fumbling their way through what is marketing. We don't even understand advertising, let alone, it was really fascinating. So, all right. It's probably time to move on to Uzbekistan, our final
Stan.
stand. So
Yes.
this was
Look,
interesting.
the one thing there's a few things that stood out. Uzbekistan was I went from Turkmenistan to Uzbekistan, and
Ah, right.
it didn't feel like it was hugely different in a lot of ways, but it was. Um, but things like, and she mentions in her book about, she literally says Uzbeks are masters of money counting, and
Yes.
that's because at the time they had the biggest note was 1,000 som, but I forget how many som it was to a dollar. Um,
A lot.
8,000 or something like that som. So $100 note you'd end up cashing in, and you'd end up getting bricks of cash, and you'd get a plastic bag, um,
You'd feel like a
and because the
millionaire.
biggest note, well, yeah, but it was such a pain to carry around,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
like, and we'd go to a restaurant, and four of us would have a meal, and the bill would be 300 and something thousand som, and it made it kind of easy to split the bill because, hey, everyone had the same notes, and you just chuck in your 80 or
Yeah,
50 or 100
exactly.
notes, and
Yeah.
but and if you're out by one, if they went to the restaurants would have a money counter, they put this brick of money in and go and
Yeah.
and it would count the money, because otherwise you'd be there all day. and
Yes.
um and I think shortly after, a couple of years later, they introduced, or a year later, they introduced a 5,000. I think they got bigger notes now. I
Right.
think I think their current leader is a little bit more open to things, and he probably also realizes that he's sitting on a tourist gold mine in terms of the natural history. They've got some amazing, the three cities that everyone goes to see, Khiva, Bukhara, and Samarkand, just there. What people go to the Silk Road, that's what they go to see,
Exactly.
those three cities.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
and then there's also the stuff to do with the RLC that's pretty sad, how that's all
Mm.
receded and that. But those three cities are, I think, Tashkent, the capital, Bukhara, and Samarkand are now all linked by like a high-speed train, or at least a much
Oh, I
better
didn't know
train.
that. Interesting. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
So
so
the tourism infrastructure
I,
is more advanced, and they have
yeah,
that stuff that
yeah,
people who don't know much about the region will still be drawn to that,
no.
like
So
the Silk Road
you
stuff.
can
So
it's so while I think Kyrgyzstan is probably one of the nicest ones for tourists in terms of the scenery and everything like that, and I think Uzbekistan is the other one, but Uzbekistan, you could probably just get off the plane, get your hotel in Tashkent, and then you just catch your train to Samarkand and Bukhara and see those cities. I don't know if it's gone to Khiva yet, but
mm,
you know it was just we had. I just remember the trip from Khiva to, I think it was Bukhara, and it was just on this road. It was 10 hours or so on a bumpy, pothole-ridden road. It was just one of the least enjoyable days of travel I've ever been to. Probably longer than 10 hours too.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but yeah, and now you think about how people can just zip around the country on a
yeah.
nice modern
Sally
train.
just commented here. Sally just said it's like a bullet train and very comfortable. So yeah,
Yeah,
quite
so
different. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, so and when Erica was there, the train would. I think the train was 2015 or 16
right.
or 17 even, maybe it was in that. But yeah, so but yeah, you know, I think Kiva, I think she mentions in a book was it looks really old, but a lot of it's just kind of been rebuilt over years and years. So
Mm,
you've
mm,
got that very authentic feel, but everything looks a lot older than it is, and it's just so amazing place. I remember
mm.
I'm not a morning person, but I remember getting up at 5 a.m. on the last day and just wandering these streets, and it's just yeah. But it's it's the original leaders were not as that nice either. They were just slightly less crazy than I guess Turkmenistan is the way I
Yeah,
would describe it.
yeah.
So,
Which is not a very good bar to be slightly better than.
but
Yeah.
I think things are changing. I think from what I did read that even visas to get in the country now are easier. So yeah,
Ah,
it's
interesting. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yes, it sounds like a very interesting place. I was my point of note was the weirdness of, I mean, the leaders and stuff, and the daughter, the
yeah.
president's daughter, who had
Oh
all these
yeah,
multiple careers, including a musician. And I mean, this is
yeah,
like typical of the multifaceted thing. But
yes,
the influences for her music, I wrote this down because I was like, Massive Attack, Moby, Adele, and Sade. I was like, how do
yeah.
you combine these influences? I actually wanted to go and Google,
Wow.
and forgot to do it, and see if I could
I
find some of her music, because I thought that's a really eclectic mix to name as your influences. What comes out of that? I don't know. So yeah,
I can't say I listened to all four of those people, and I don't think anyone ever does. Like there's such a diverse
yeah,
range
they're really diverse.
of
So, I don't
artists.
know how you
So
combine it. So yeah,
no,
so I
no.
must
I
go
mean,
away
Adele and
and
Sade maybe, but
yes, exactly. It leads to
yeah,
some vague kind of, yeah, but the rest. I mean,
yeah,
I quite like them all, but they're really different. It's
yeah,
not something I would
They're
think to
not.
combine. So yeah,
Yeah,
so
so she's and I mean she got. It wasn't very clear in the book about how she got why and how she got arrested, because whether her father just decided she was pushing
too
things too
threatening.
far or
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It was a bit,
and being
yes, a
so
bit grey. It probably
and that
irrelevant.
was one thing I was going to say is one thing I didn't know much about. That was something in the book which was really new to me because I hadn't heard about it too much, but I think a lot of that came after my visit as well. So
Yes, maybe. Yeah, yeah,
mm,
yeah.
and but yeah, it was interesting. Um, and the other, I mean, the other thing I found with Uzbekistan was, and she mentions a lot of this in the book, is the historical figures. They really actually
Yes.
do revere these historical figures. So there's a Timurlane, as I was known, but she calls him Timurlenk. The locals were like saying, "Oh, have you heard of Timurlane?" I go, "Yes, yes." Oh, and the only other thing they'd ever say was better than Genghis Khan, and I'm like going, "Yes."
Okay.
In my
Yes.
top 10 list of marauding conquerors, I've got him at the head of Genghis Khan. It was just, I was just like, yeah. But, he was a famous, I guess they saw him as a famous Uzbek. And the one I liked was Oleg Beg because he was more into the sciences and less into the conquering and stuff. And so there's quite a lot in around with him as well. Like she mentions the remains of his sextant and where he did his astronomy from and everything like that. And so I think there's a museum from memory there, and it's up on a hill. So it was really good to see all of that, and they revered him just as much. It was like, oh yeah, he was such an influential person and such a smart person as well. So yeah, it's definitely look. I loved Uzbekistan because it just had so much variety in what you could see and do
Yeah.
in that area. So
Yeah, it did sound like, and so much, so much of the interesting history. I mean, as a mathematician, my first degree
yeah,
is mathematics.
yeah,
I liked that she talked about the guy whose name was algorithmy, as in like the word
yeah,
algorithm derived from him. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
that's interesting. That's the kind of thing. I'm
yeah,
like, oh, I
yeah.
love those little facts. So yeah, but
Yeah, so
yeah,
and I think even and in your little poll on who had been there, I think Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan were the two countries that had the most visitors,
yes,
and I think that there's a good reason for that. But
yeah, yeah.
the whole place is just it's a fascinating part of the world, and yeah, it's
It
even
is.
just the recent politics of it is just
Oh, absolutely. Like I was saying, I just kept going off and researching bits because I just had to know
yeah,
more about, and especially, yeah, what's happening today, on this. I wanted the updates on
yeah,
things. So, yeah, if you looked at my search history for the last few weeks, it would the stands feature prominently because I wanted to
prominently,
know a bit
yeah.
more on all these little bits. So,
And I can't even tell you what made me want to go there in the first place either at the time. I was really trying to think, why did I go there? And I think it was just literally, oh, you can do a trip to these places.
yeah.
And yeah, so
Yeah, well, I think
anyway,
because when we were at school, I mean, of course they existed, but they didn't exist as independent
no
countries, and so I've always
countries,
been
no.
fascinated by by all of the ex-Soviet
I
countries. So
still
yeah,
get fascinated as well by the differences in some of these Soviet republics, because this is like one of
yes,
those ones like I know Chechia's one that is a bit controversial, like why wasn't it allowed to be independent? And even now, Ukraine and Georgia have, and Russia's not necessarily seeing eye to eye in their parts of the
mm,
world, and
yeah,
so there's still very much it's still, I would say, a little unstable, but
yeah, yeah,
whereas interestingly in the stands, the little bit of instability was in and around the three-way border with Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and Kyrgyzstan, and religion and ethnicity and that. And so I remember when I went there in 2012, there was still this instability, and part of the reason
mm.
we went to Kazakhstan for a few days was to avoid some of these borders, and
Oh right, yeah,
so so to avoid some of the borders in these valleys that were potentially an
potentially,
issue. Like
yeah.
nothing happened when I was there, but
But yeah,
yeah, so
with a group of tourists, better to just go a different way around.
yeah, to
Yeah,
avoid it. And it
yeah,
was
yeah.
fine because I got to see the bit parts of Kazakhstan that were amazing as well. Like I've got
Yeah.
to go back there because I didn't get to see Astana or Almaty as it was called then. I think it's Nur Sultan now. But
Yes, yes, yes. They like to change the names, don't
hey,
they?
well, and that was the leader after him. Not him.
Yes,
He
yeah,
changed it
that's
to.
right. Yeah,
So
I know it's fascinating, isn't it?
yes,
Keeps us on our toes, and we can never be too sure for those pub quizzes on geography. You've got to be up to date. So yeah.
yeah.
Oh dear. Well, it does definitely makes me want to go traveling. So I guess as a
I
travel book, it's
think
doing
yeah.
its
I
job
think
then. So yes. Oh,
yes, it's definitely a very good travel book. And it's a very good book that covers the history and the details of all these countries. Like I think
yes. Yeah.
if you
Super
read the
interesting to
book, you would
read
get a
if you're
real
heading there. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. For
yeah.
sure.
If you want to go there, read the book. If
Yeah.
you're just interested in other countries, like this isn't one about how someone had a funny thing and caught the
And it
wrong
wasn't a
bus or
long
something like
walk.
that. No, it wasn't a long war. Um, this wasn't
Yeah. No,
about
it is
funny
very much
interactions.
a portrait of these five countries. So
Yeah, I don't
yeah.
think she had any. I'm trying to think of an interaction with a local that was kind of humorous. I mean, there were some that were from outside looking in, but or like um, but yeah, it's not that kind of book. It's
No, no, it's
she
a
does a very thorough trip. She
yeah,
doesn't just
yeah,
visit the tourist hotspots, and even the
yeah, yeah.
touristy places
She's a
in
good traveler.
Uzbekistan. She briefly covers. She doesn't like. She highlighted the Registan in Samarkand in Uzbekistan, which is just a really amazing place. And I think Oleg Beg built a madrasa, which is just like a school, and then another person built. So these three schools are overlooking this one square, and you get these magnificent
Wow.
facades of like these Islamic madrasas with blue tiles and everything, and it's just like a really amazing place to go visit. And she didn't really cover a lot of that. She covered the history why these were built, but she
Yes,
didn't go into that. She wasn't going there for.
on the
I think
tourist
she was
trail.
probably no.
Yeah,
She did,
yeah.
but at
But
the same
without,
time,
yeah,
she brushes over the
emphasizing it.
stuff that you probably find elsewhere really easily and goes
Yes,
in deep.
exactly.
So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Oh no, I really enjoyed it. So, tick
yeah,
for this.
I
So,
did too. But like I said, I underestimated how long it was going to take to read it. So,
yes,
but
me
I
too. It doesn't look that big until you get into it. Yeah, I have to say. I mean,
yeah
I confess, I finished it last night. So, um,
yes, I was on I think Thursday or Friday. So
yeah, yeah, you were ahead of me. So, but I did enjoy it. So anyway, this is it for book club for 2021. Thank you, Justin, a million times over for being
no
my
worries.
most fabulous co-host because it's so much more fun to talk to someone about our books, and it's also good because I get to definitely catch up with you every month or so. So that's good.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Now, we actually don't have a book list plan for next year yet, so watch this space. And if you are listening and have any suggestions for books that should go on the Thoughtful Travellers Book Club list for 2022, let me know. You too, Justin. And
Yep.
actually, I probably have to go back through our messages because I know you do sometimes send
Yeah, I
me
think I've
some.
done a
So,
few over the year.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, over the
I
course
wander
of the
through a
year.
bookshop.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. You sent me a. Yes, so I must go back and have a look.
There's
And
probably photos of books throughout. I can't
yes,
remember which ones I've
yes.
sent you either. So
No, 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 no. That's good. I'll go to the photo section of messages. That's even easier. But yes, let me know if you've got any others. And thanks for watching. And for anyone who's catching up later, I hope you enjoyed it. And do leave any other comments or thoughts you have
yeah,
about these places. And
I
otherwise,
think like as I've been there as well, I'm happy people like thinking. I know we're in a world where travel's not really that easy right now. So, but
but one day.
yes, if people
Yeah.
ever
Any
got questions
questions?
about
Ask
going to
Justin.
these places, just
Yeah.
I'm happy to answer them because I just love. I've been to a lot of these ex-Soviet republics, so they are all very quite interesting. The ones I've been
Yeah.
to, so yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, one day I will get there. I had been
and I'm sure
hoping
there's other
to
people as
in
well.
Christmas last year. I had at
Georgia
least been
was.
hoping
Yeah.
to go back through Georgia, but
I need to find a book
obviously,
on Georgia actually.
yeah, yeah. I was looking like pre-pandemic because I had planned that I would get
Mm.
there, and I couldn't find anything good. So yes, anyone have a good
Okay.
book with
Mm.
Georgia featuring? Let us know.
As in the
So
country, not the
yes,
US
Georgia, the
state,
country
which
in
is
Central Asia, not the US state.
US
Exactly.
state. Although if
Yeah.
there's a good one about the US state, that's fine
I'll
as
read
well.
any good book. Yeah, absolutely. So,
Yes.
yes. All right. Well, thank you so much,
No
Justin.
worries.
And we'll stay
You're
in
welcome.
touch. But I look forward to our next book club, which will be sometime early 2022. I can't believe it's got to that.
Too.
But
I know.
yeah. So, yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Fingers crossed.
Yes, the year of travel. Maybe a little bit of travel. I don't know
Maybe,
anymore.
maybe.
Hopefully. Well, at least we can read about travel, if nothing else.
That's
So,
right.
yeah.
The book club's here.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
No
And
worries.
chat soon.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye.
See yous.